In this week's Reproductive Rebel, we are talking about something you probably didn't learn in health class, your energetic erotic blueprint. I'm joined today by expert Sacha Fossa to explain how discovering your unique blueprint can transform your intimacy, self-confidence, and connection with yourself and others. We'll break down what the blueprints are, why they matter, and how you can start exploring this energetic blueprint today for yourself or with a partner. Spoiler alert, it's not just about the bedroom, it's about knowing yourself more deeply than ever before. Tune in now to Reproductive Rebel wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Hi, I'm Adrienne Irizarry. I'm an East Asian medicine practitioner who is passionate about women's health and helping women to live their best lives. My goal is to put you in the driver's seat of your health, offering holistic solutions for a symptom-free life. Statements made in this program are for educational purposes only and not intended as a substitution for medical consultation or advice. We do not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. This podcast is inclusive and welcomes all gender identities. The focus of the program is on biological function, and we will use the term women throughout, but it is referencing physiological and social challenges for biology, not identity. Come as you are, I am happy you're here and welcome all performances of identity. I hope you find something helpful in this show. Welcome back to another episode of the Reproductive Rebel Podcast. I am joined today by the incredible Sacha Fossa. Welcome back to the show, Sacha.
Thank you, Adrienne. Happy to be here.
So Sacha has joined me for a couple of episodes now. So if you have not gotten to know her and her amazing work, definitely check out those episodes. But this one specifically is going to point back to episode 33 of season 4. Where we took a look at an overview of the erotic blueprints. And we are going to actually do a deeper dive into each one because there was so much we couldn't pack all of that good stuff into just one episode. And I wanted people to have a closer look at what each of these really means, what it looks like. And Sacha has graciously agreed to come back for a series of episodes this season to take a deeper look at what each of these is, how this plays out in your best sex and love life, which was the first episode that we did together. So that was also in season 4. So be sure to check that one out. But for those who are joining us brand new and have not met you in all of your amazingness, tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I'm Sacha Fossa. My business is Sacred Temple Arts. It's all about the sacred temple as your body. I'm an intimacy, sex, relationship, and wellness coach, educator, and healing arts practitioner of over 2 decades, especially with the healing arts and going on about 15 years with intimacy and relationship and sex stuff as the deeper part of the business that I do. I custom design programs for all of my clients to essentially get your best sex and love life and overall wellness, which your best sex and love life actually is a very key part in that. So you can find me at sacredtemplearts.com. I offer a complimentary call. And yeah, I do erotic blueprints, which you're talking about today. I'm a licensed coach in the blueprints. I do a lot of things. And the blueprints are part of it. And so is Tantra. And you can find it all on my website. So please check me out there.
Yes, absolutely. We also have an episode specifically about Tantra in season 4. So please make sure to check out these 3 amazing episodes that Sacha has shared, these kernels of wisdom with all of you, because they're an incredible wealth of information and things that people don't talk about quite as much. But one thing that really stepped forward for me as we were doing our episode about the blueprints is, man, there's a lot that I want to say and ask you and share with our audience. And so like I said, Sacha agreed graciously to come back and do a little bit more of a specific talk about each one. So we're going to do an episode about each one. Again, those who didn't catch that episode, this is Jaya's work around the erotic blueprints that Sacha is very well versed and qualified to teach with her clients and with others. And today we're going to talk about the energetic erotic blueprint.
Yay!
So tell us a little bit about what that means for those who haven't heard from the previous episode.
Well, the energetic blueprint is one of the 5 blueprints that the sexologist Jaya created and founded this entire body of work with. It's so amazing. The energetic blueprint is, I think, probably the least understood. And it's always the one Jaya teaches first. She starts with the energetic, then goes into the sensual, then the sexual blueprint, then the kinky blueprint, and then the shapeshifter. So we're going to start today that way with the energetic. I also am a shapeshifter, but I am very high energetic. It's probably my tippity top and has been since I was born, I realize. So it's going to be really fun today for me to play with this particular blueprint. And I hope everyone that's here will watch all of the series that we're doing on the blueprints and notice that I'm going to speak differently. I'm going to look differently, and I'm going to go into each of them with the structure, though, of giving some real examples, some basics about the blueprint, some ways of touch and feeding the blueprint, and some sensation play items for each blueprint. So it'll be really fun if you watch the series to really get the difference and the dive into each of these blueprints and how they feel, they express, and they are so very different in so many ways.
I love this. So the energetic blueprint, this is one that a lot of people, like you said, it's really misunderstood. I think energetics in general are not well understood by the general public. So let's talk about what that means and how this does play out in your intimate life.
Well, I'm going to start with just giving right from the mouth of Jaya a nice synopsis of it, and then we'll dive deeper. So while this is not always the case, if we look at the history of someone who's energetically wired, because the blueprints are, in case anyone missed it, how you're erotically wired. We will often see that energetics have a bit of tease factor. Energetics often thrive in the space of longing and anticipation. They sometimes have extrasensory perception, and they can tell when something's going on emotionally with their lover. They're very empathic and highly sensitive individuals, basically. Often. This isn't always the case. We'll get into more of that. So the sensitivity, it can be a positive thing or something that causes them to short circuit easily. And this can cause a lot of havoc in the bedroom, right? And also in the rest of their lives. Their arousals can start way before any physical touch happens. Working with an energetic is a lot like getting a fire going. It needs air. If you smother it, the fire goes out. But if you know how to give the fire plenty of space and time, it will get roaring. For an energetic, touching their genitals too soon is like pouring a cold bucket of water on the fire. But if you approach them after lots of anticipation and you go in with a teasing touch, you will see a completely different response in their body. Men who are energetic at their core are the most misunderstood. Jaya sees, and I often see energetic men who have erectile difficulties, whether it's PE or DE, so premature or delayed ejaculation. It's harder for them to get aroused because many people are unsure of how to play with the man who has an energetic core. I've found so many men, they don't know how to play with themselves because they don't understand this blueprint, and they don't understand why just doing the normal things that they've learned from porn or from other things about how to get aroused is not working for them at all.
Yeah.
Right? Most people will often go for the cock, and this overwhelms him and can cause him to short circuit instead of getting highly erect. So basically, you want to, with an energetic, focus on breathing, right? Barely there touch, eye contact, because they like that connection of the eye contact, a feeling of the connection into the soul, right? Something deeper. Lots and lots of space, right? You're not crowding them. The room's not crowded. There's a spaciousness, time, and slow that the energetic needs. They like energy play, if they even know what that means. And then when they learn what it is, they really like it, right? These are the fuel for the energetics fire. So let's look quickly at the positive and shadow aspects of this blueprint, because all the blueprints, like everything in this dual world we live in, of this reality, we have positive and shadow side. And then we'll look at how they're best fed. The positive aspects, again, very, very sensitive, physically, emotionally. They can be very psychic, I've seen. More able to have non-genital full body or multiple orgasms. They may experience altered states during sex. Everyone can experience altered states during sex, but energetics tend to lean towards this easier, right? Maybe seeing colors, going into trance, experiencing non-ordinary states of mind, etc. They tend to be very intuitive lovers. They have the ability to connect on a deeply and spiritual, emotional level. They tend to see sex more as a transformation and personal growth tool. They're not like out having one night stands, right? It doesn't feel good. It's not quite that. They want to feel connected and have the time and space of getting to know someone and really playing deeply in this way. Often as their partner's arousal heightens, theirs does too, because they're so empathic, right? Shadow aspects. Hypersensitivity will cause short circuit, just like that, if the touch isn't timed well. If they feel something is off with their partner or their environment as well, or anything going on around them, they may not be able to concentrate on their pleasure. They're like a big antenna, right? That may get bombarded with other people or other stuff and anything, baggage and things in the airwaves that aren't theirs. They can get hierarchical, meaning my way is better or more enlightened than yours. I'll describe a bit about that, how I was doing that for a long time. They may leave their body due to disassociation and not actually be present during sex. They may need too much space and can be mistrusting or feel a lack of safety. So that's all the shadow side. Now, how do you feed an energetic? Well, with light, like light barely touching the hairs, right? Or hovering touch. Lots of anticipation, like we talked about, right? It would be the right kind of flirting. You would also want to speak in their language. All of these blueprints have different ways to speak. We could do a whole episode on the oral sex part of how all of these, you speak differently and use different wording for each of the blueprints, that we can't go that far today with that. Waiting and longing, though, eye contact, breathing, teasing, touch, seeing, hearing, or sensing how much pleasure their partner is experiencing. All of these are ways to feed them. Again, the deep emotional connection and intimacy, polarity play, tantra or other sexual practices that may be more considered like in the spiritual realm, visualization of sexual energy, different types of sensations that way in play, and energy games. Those are all ways to feed. So in my practice, I teach clients how to feed themselves, how to feed their partners. I do really enjoy creating for my clients, yes, what blueprints are yours and what's your high arousal levels in these blueprints and your shadows and working those out. But then I like to expand my clients into other blueprints. So if I've kind of lost anybody so far that you're like, that's not me, well, it's well worth learning more about this blueprint because it's fun to play in all the sandboxes, and the energetic has incredible gifts to offer everybody. And you can learn, even if you're not naturally highly wired in a particular blueprint, you can learn how to play in it. You can learn how to have energetic orgasms. All of this is possible. You can have these without touch and the eye connection and breath play. So what we've been talking about may sound a little like woo-woo, right? Kind of term, or like too spiritual maybe for some people. I have met plenty of high energetics that don't have any inclination towards any of that stuff. And yet they're wired that way. Sex, Love, and Goop, which is the great Netflix series that features the blueprints and Jaya's work in it, has a great example of a man who took the Erotic Blueprint quiz, which everybody should take through my website, again, sacredtemplearts.com. You'll see Erotic Blueprints at the top. You'll see the quiz there. Go through there, take the quiz, take the paid report. The quiz really isn't a value, the free one. It just, the algorithm will give you the top blueprint that you are, but that doesn't mean that's true, because if there's 2 or 3, even if they're equal, they're just going to choose one, and you're not going to be able to see the breakdown of each blueprint. So basically, one of the men, there's a couple featured in the documentary that Jaya is working with, and he comes up high sexual in the blueprint quiz. And yet when Jaya does the erotic game practices on him, he spontaneously goes into energetic waves of orgasm, has a full like Kundalini energetic experience. He has tears coming out of his eyes. He can't understand what just happened to him, the amount of light that's pouring through his body. And it turns out that the sexual blueprint was masking his energetic blueprint that was actually really high, because he knew nothing about it and had never been touched in that way. So that's a great example to be able to watch on film, right, in that documentary of this blueprint that we're talking about.
I agree.
Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I do, because I think that this example that you just gave, I highly encourage everybody listening to watch. Even if you don't watch all of the episodes, definitely watch that one, because he comes off as a man's man. He comes off, and I'm saying this because when you start talking to your partner about some of this, like a lot of times they will come off that way because society has kind of pigeonholed men into more of the sexual blueprint. And for some of them, yes, okay, great. That is in alignment with what their blueprints are, but it isn't for everybody. So this guy comes off like your traditional dude, right? And he's skeptical of woo stuff. And he is the perfect example of what you think and what your body actually is looking for, what it craves, what it desires, how you're actually wired. And it was amazing to watch, because all of a sudden, this gentleman was faced with, wow, this pushes way more buttons for me than I ever knew could be pushed. How the hell did that happen? And it's like magic. And he has no words for it. And when they're talking to him afterwards, he's stumbling over himself because he had such a experience. And it was so incredibly, yes, mind-boggling for him, and satisfying and earth-shattering for him. He didn't even know it was possible. And for those of you that are listening, I mean, you can all call to mind that guy, right? Who just thinks it's P and V action. This is how you do the thing, and don't give or put any stock in the fact that there's so much more to sex than just that. And I mean, for some people, it's that simple and straightforward, but socially, we, particularly for men, make it that straightforward, but it's not. It just goes to show that we're all wired like in different ways, and we need different things to have that next level ecstasy that is possible, that a lot of people even question, like, I hear about this. Is that really even a thing? Is that even a thing for me? And in a lot of cases, it's because you haven't figured out how you get that deep level of turn on and then achieve that kind of energetic experience. And so this guy is the absolute best example, in my opinion, of exactly how this works. Because he very much in his brain had it set that P and V is the way this works. And he's probably the guy that he gets there, he's done. And I mean, even his partner was talking about the fact that it isn't satisfying for her because she wasn't getting what she needed out of the experience either. But it's because we've been socialized to think that it's really just this one way. So he's a beautiful example of energetic, and he comes completely unglued, and he was not prepared for it.
Yes. I have dozens of examples from clients awakening in the energetic blueprint. And it's really fun because the most often what happens these days is my clients in the very beginning watch Sex, Love, and the Goop. And the most common thing that I'll hear, especially from men, is there's another scene where Jaya lays on the massage table and she has a blindfold on, and Ian does hands-off, hovering, energetic touch, feet from her body. And Jaya goes into multiple orgasms and this high state of arousal through no physical touch. Yes. And you can just see the energy, and it's like, right? And I'll do a little demo of that towards the end. But so my clients say, that's not real, right? They come to me, that's not real. And then within a couple of months in the program, they're laying there and all of a sudden, even those I work with virtually, all of a sudden something shifts and they're energetic because now they have a concept of it. And they're able to just let things awaken more and to play with the body more and to relax more and to feel, how is my body aroused? Not how my mind thinks I should be playing with myself, right? And I teach all kinds of techniques and games and ways to explore that. I read IT guys that don't believe in anything spiritual at all. And now they're like, wait, I want to know what chakras are. I want to know all about this. Tell me, do it on me, teach me, right? How did you do that? I put a blindfold on them and my hands are up here and their body's moving all over the place and they can feel the energy, and they never thought that was possible.
Yeah.
Right. So again, virtually you can learn these games as well in programs with me and do them on your partner and so forth. And I teach Tantra, and Tantra is all about awakening the chakras. Well, it should be from the most basic perspective of teaching white Tantra, which I teach before I teach red, because you should have a basis of both. But please go back to the episode on Tantra to learn more about that. But the energetic is just like expansive experience that can take you to incredible heights of ecstasy. All of the blueprints can, but in very different ways. And I have to say that I love rolling in the energetic orgasms and the space of being absolutely one with everything and having just pure light flooding through my body. In the bedroom and out of the bedroom. And it's all possible to learn. I've had, real clients that are firefighters and EMTs, and my partner is, he drives a truck and he's been in the military and he's like so grounded and he's a big, solid guy. And man, it was so fun to watch the first time with me that my energy was popping and all of a sudden he just started
moving,
shaking and moving, eyes roll back in the head and feeling the energy. Woo! Right?
Yeah.
His first energetic orgasm without ejaculation. And when you have that, you can have multiple, it's nonstop. You can have so many types of orgasms. You can become so sensitive as an energetic that the wind blows a certain way and you're like,
I experienced that during my first pregnancy. I was like, the wind would blow and I'd be like, oh my God.
I bet you're more open to the energetic with the baby and
very much
the connection of everything that's going on. Yeah, that would be something to discuss further, because if that baby's, I don't know, but I would suspect that would be a high energetic time. As is, we'll just add in quickly, for women, certain times of our cycle, when you're bleeding, you're very open to the energetic of everything and the hypersensitivity. First, you kind of go into the sensual and the sensual shadow generally, and maybe high sexual as well during the peak before going into menstruation. Certainly during ovulation, you may be in a more high sexual peak, right? But yeah, it's the energetic. All of us in our lifetimes are going to experience these blueprints in different ways. And if we can acknowledge that our eroticism is infinitely expansive and so unique, yet at the same time has some certain components that we all share in different ways, like these blueprints, it's really helpful to not think that you're totally broken or you're a total weirdo, which often happens, I think, more with the energetic, unless you're in like a spiritual community or like a cult, which I did all of those too, because I was high energetic, but that was in my shadow side.
Yeah.
So I'll just share too, I have a client who's in his early 30s and he's millennial, grew up on the screen all the time, doesn't feel connected to anything. He's constantly just like, it's an addiction, right? This dopamine hits of the screens and so forth. And he thought that he was like high kinky and high sexual. And actually, it turns out that the reason he has anxiety attacks and the reason he has panic attacks and the reason that he shakes is he's so high energetic. He's like half his blueprint is actually high sensual energetic. He's not these other blueprints he was trying to be. And he's had delayed ejaculation. You know, he thought he was broken. He's gone through periods where he's like, I don't want to have sex ever again, because it's too emotional. It's too overwhelming. It's like it causes too much for him. And that also, energetics are like the one blueprint that can kind of be like, I don't really need sex. I have sex in my body with life. I can have sex with a plant right now.
Yeah.
I'm just living, breathing, flowing energy. So like sticking things in body parts, that's kind of like a little too mundane sometimes.
Yeah.
Not quite what is working for them. So I have seen a lot commonly that anyone who's going to like shut down or I don't want to have sex or I don't need sex, you may want to look at what's your energetic blueprint and where is it and are you in the shadows of it or what, right? Because I don't recommend shutting everything down. Even practitioners like monks and beings that are celibate, well, they're having sex in the energetic blueprint. They're not putting body parts together like this, but they're doing energetic sex. Sex is just, this connection and the energy flowing and the union of different parts and different aspects of ourselves or with our environment of just flow, right? Whether you call it the divine or the masculine and the feminine or the earth, whatever it is, right? You can have communion. The energetic loves to be in communion. If the energy is right, again, if it's not, they're going to shut down, they're going to contract. And it feels really yucky as a high energetic to be contracted. And sometimes they get there and they stay that way because things have happened, bad things have happened, and they don't want to come back out. And because they're afraid, a lot of times energetics I've found, and including myself, we're afraid of this energy. It's so big. It feels like when you really play deeply with this kind of fire, it feels like it's breaking you apart. Like not in a painful, it can sometimes be painful, but in general, people, it's really not. It's like because you're achieving a different level of consciousness and awareness, and you're having your body fill up with this energy, right? And it's like electricity at times. But it helps to heal the body by pushing out the things that need to come out, which is, I used to shake every time when we used to have real phones. Every time the phone rang, I would start shaking before the actual phone would go off in a room. And so eventually I just had to live with all the phones on.
I resonate with this.
And I still to this day, my phone is never on.
I can't find my phone half the time because I keep it silent because notifications and the sounds and the alerts short circuit my system.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, anything like that's intrusive, again, needing the space, a lot of space. For myself, learning about my high energetic was I got a lot of shame and weird stuff around like how much time I like to spend alone, even as a kid. Don't like being in crowds and I don't like being around a lot of people and I don't like loud noises at all. I don't like things that are jarring.
Me either.
I really like, can we just have energetic space? Peace, people, quiet. You know what? Silence.
Yes.
Love silence. I shouldn't swear as part of energetics aren't foul mouthed, but I happen to be all the blueprints. So I'm very foul mouthed, but we'll try to keep swearing out for this because energetics
Swear for emphasis and clarity on this show. It's all
true.
good.
That's fine. Okay. Yeah. As a kid, I always had to have my own room. For a while, my mother, me, and my brother sleep in my bedroom, and I like kicked him out in the middle of the night because I'm like, I need space. And I was only like 3 years old. I'm like a little kid, and I have this big bedroom, and I'm like, it's too crowded with him in here. It wasn't even like we were in a single bed. Like I had a queen size bed. I'm like 3, and I'm like, get him out of here. Right? So as a child, it was like, oh, you're spoiled. And like, what's wrong with you? But this haunted me. Went off to college at 17 years old. And I only lasted 6 months with a roommate. And I only lasted a few months more than that in a dorm. I had a therapist write a letter saying that I had psychological claustrophobia so bad that I couldn't live in a dormitory because I was in like a box with 500 people and I couldn't sleep. I could not handle the amount of energy. To this day, I can't sleep in a hotel room. I will be up all night because of too much energy. I don't like cities. And I'm not saying this is for every energetic. I am in the extreme case of this, okay? I just be happy out in the woods by myself.
I resonate with that, though.
Naps away, like eating healthy food and just, So yeah, to this day, people come to my house. They're like, "Isn't this a big house for one person?" Right? I'm like, "It's 2,800 square feet. That's like perfect for me, and I could go twice as big. Like I take up every inch of this place, literally." I'm like, "No, I could do 5,000 alone."
Yeah,
I like space, a lot of space. And if you contract my space, I shut down, I contract, and I don't feel well, to be honest. I don't feel good. When I can be as big as I want to be and as out and just like, the flow, right? So that's a big deal because like with a partner, so I asked my partner, do you have anything to add about the energetic blueprint? And he goes, well, you have to learn how to feed big energy and match the energetic blueprint and feed them in this super high, super big energy, right?
The book Bitter or Better, I Decide by Hannah Koch is a practical and uplifting guide to turning life challenges into stepping stones. Bitter or Better shows how to understand yourself, resolve conflict, strengthen relationships, and reconnect with the source of love so you can choose better, not bitter, every day. For more information, go to bitterorbetteridecide.com.
That's why you need to hire a coach usually to help you to learn how to feed each other and make it easy and hack it all for you like I can. But just a couple small things to just take a little sidetrack on of, so energetics, the sex toys are very different for high energetic, right? So here's my favorite G-spot wand. And yeah, it looks like just a normal G-spot wand, but no, it's tachyonized. It has scalar energy, right?
Yeah.
So it's a healing tool. And I'm all about whether it's the crystals, the heat, right? So energetics might love crystals. I used to pack my bed with crystals for a couple of years while I was really like waking up to my energetic and I needed more. Like I'm sitting with this selenite behind my back. I used to sleep with this baby every night in my bed. And because it fed my energetic blueprint. So I was like, let's get her right back here on my spine. We'll roll with the energy while we're talking, right? I've been into flower essences for 25 years. I'm also a flower essence consultant. I use flower essences on my sex toys, on my body, in my lovemaking, right? To me, all of these are sex toys. People are like, what? Flowers? Yes. A crystal's a sex toy? Yes. Yoni egg. Very energetic in itself, usually, because it's a stone, but I have a tachyonized one, scalar energy, right? I have things like this in the bedroom. It's a clearing spray. It's all different flower essences and essential oils. I use it when I'm making love for fun, you know? I play with all these different energies. So each of the sessions we do on a blueprint, I'll bring in a few sensation play toys. And also try to just play more with acting the part, which I realize I'm talking too fast because energetics, well, if they're really excited because they run a lot of energy, they can talk really fast. But take a breath, Sasha. Drop into the energetic, right? So like for this podcast, I put on a linen dress because it's a natural fiber, right? It's not compressing my energy. It feeds my energy. The linen feeds the energetic blueprint. Copper feeds the energetic blueprint. You know, I was like, no big face makeup, just lighter on the makeup. My face energetically, I don't like makeup. I don't like things on my face. I don't either. My energy is like, no. You know, you put all this face makeup on, then your face feels tight, you know?
Yeah.
I don't like that. But give me some essential oils, some castor oil, right? It's like the energetic, it doesn't have to tend towards the woo again or the more natural. But if you're playing in that and you want to feed it more, you want to feed it with what really does feed energy, healthy wise in the body. A Snickers bar probably isn't that. Nice beef tallow protein with all natural things. Just, you know, healthy things that have less ingredients that are fake. I think of the energetic as the most organic.
Yeah.
Right? They like organic sex, more organic things, right? They at least thrive more if they have those things, if they're fed in that way. Yeah, so I used to feel really broken. I thought maybe my nervous system was broken. And I mean, I had a lot of trauma, so there was a lot that came through the nervous system with the high energetic. But the energetic is also what healed because I had to heal in that main blueprint that I had, right?
Yeah.
So it's my going so deep for like 20 years into the energetic of everything. I studied every energy modality I could learn, right? And body work, but more energy. I left massage school and went to energy work, polarity. I was like, oh, this is too like touching tissue like this. No, I want to do crystals and hands off the body and energy, right? I'm a Reiki master. I have all these certifications in the energy world. So I think there's a lot of healing that's possible for every person if they also look at their main blueprints and figure out how to create more healing in those blueprints. And then there was a point where I had reached where I went into the shadow more of the energy blueprint and became like so high up in the energy of the Tantra. Oh, I can't have a lover unless he's a tantric master kind of thing. And I was so happy when I realized with the blueprints and other exploration even before that I was missing out on all these other ways to be aroused and to play and expand into my wholeness, not to just stay in the energetic. The energetic will always be my fallback, usually. It's where I go to if I'm traumatized and if I'm at my highest peak sexually. It's going to go both directions. It's just the line of least resistance because it is even though I'm pretty even now, which means that's what a shapeshifter is in the blueprints, I still have the energetic as the highest, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions so far? Do you want to share anything? I've been talking a lot.
No, I love this. I think that one thing that I thought was really interesting that you had mentioned was about energetic orgasm during menstruation. I wanted to kind of go back to that for a couple of reasons. Thing number one is I'm an advocate with my clients that nothing goes in when the energy is down and out during the bleed. But a lot of people in their brain translate that instruction into, I cannot have any sort of intimate relations with my partner, or this is my excuse not to have intimate relations with my partner, or I need to have an orgasm because I'm in pain.
Yeah.
How am I going to achieve this? Right? So I've heard all of those things. And you mentioned that there is no penetration with an energetic orgasm. And I think that is a bit of a mind stretch.
Can be. You can have energetic orgasms with penetration too.
Yep. But I'm thinking more in the abstract, right? Because I think this is where people have a hard time, especially like I keep thinking about that guy on the Goop because he was just, his mind was totally blown that you could have full body orgasms and multiple orgasms. And his wife was not on top of him. He was just laying on the table, guys. So you really need to watch this if you want to see energetic in action in like the most black and white way possible. But I'm just thinking about this in terms of menstruation, right? Because from the Eastern perspective, there shouldn't be any up and in when the energy is down and out, because when things go up and in, it can create the right environment for more cramping, for this kind of stuff. And your bleed is supposed to be a cleansing, an energetic release, and all of these things. Well, orgasms are release also. So if you could just, especially because this is abstract for some people who are listening, bridge that gap and explain how you can use this during menstruation to essentially not have a break in the month. Because so many people think that your bleed means a whole bunch of things. Either people have the mentality that they push through it like nothing's happening to them, or life can't have some of the same rhythms like being intimate with a partner when you're in menstruation. And I challenge that narrative. And this is a beautiful example of how you can challenge that narrative.
Yes. Okay, so much to unpack there. So I think everybody has to go with their own body. Of course, I know other sex educators like Kim and Ami are all about period sex. When you're bleeding, go for it, right? And I know I went through periods in my life where I really liked sex while I was menstruating. And also I use it as like, well, I'm not going to get pregnant and I'm not on birth control anymore. So let's get as much in now, right?
Yeah.
But as I've gotten a little older and my energetic has been very strong, and I learned about conscious cycling as well, I personally don't like anything in. I don't wear tampons. I like to either free bleed or wear Finks panties, just nothing in. My body wants all the energy to be going out. Now, with that said, I'm also more open. We are more open psychically. We are more open energetically with the experience of menstruation, which is why we used to go into the red tent and have spiritual work that we did at this time. Or not spiritual work, but visions. This is a great time to vision, to relax, rest, and look at what am I creating in my life and how do I pull in this energy, right? And a relaxed and like a way of just the energy, playing with the energy. So I love during that time to play more with my partner, like eye gazing. You know, you could find yourself, you might think it's a silly exercise, but the more you just sit quietly and look into your lover's eyes with soft eyes, not like soft eyes. And you might laugh at first and think it's silly, but the longer that you do it, you actually are drawn into the soul. The eyes are the gateway to the soul. And so that itself can unlock things in the body, right? But then there's all these other types of orgasms, heart, right? So I like to, a lot of times when I menstruate, and I do this all the time anyways, and I recommend it to my clients, basic tantra practice. And energetics love this heart chakra between the breasts, and then just a hand over your pussy. If you're uncomfortable with putting it right over your pussy or your cog, then go a couple inches up right below the belly button. And now you're connecting your sex and your love, right? And you just run energy like this. And this can turn into a level of orgasm. essentially these orgasms that we're having, these energetic orgasms, have a lot to do with the vagus nerve system, which we did talk about a bit in other parts. So the vagus nerve system is, you want to be relaxed and tapping into that. I'm a big fan of prostate touch for getting into the vagus system and having orgasms, whether it's males prostates or female prostates, but you don't have to physically touch your prostate to get into the vagus nerve. So there's plenty of other exercises. There's all kinds of ways of doing different types of breath work. There's so much available. But what I would say is just that if you start to realize that if you relax and turn on and breathe and sound, energetic sound, breath, right? You can be super turned on and just place a hand hovering over your genitals and see what you feel, right? Hovering over your clitoris, just cupping, lightly touching. See what else is possible in the body of unlocking things. Also, I'm a big fan of giving my partner oral sex energetically. So I teach, there's many ways you can do everything in the different blueprint. Well, I especially like when I'm bleeding, just to put my partner's cock in my mouth, whether it's hard or not, generally not hard, and just suck and relax my body and tap into my own relaxation and arousal and just enjoy that sensation. And he's very in his energetic, so he doesn't always come, but if he does come, yay, because semen balances my hormones. And I want a lot of semen, just not right in my pussy maybe when I'm bleeding, because I want the energy going out. So lots of ways to play. That's more sexual play. There's all kinds of breath work that you can learn. I would recommend being careful with that. Breath work can unlock a lot of things in the system. You might need someone to guide you safely through that practice. I know I did when I first learned. But I'll just kind of give an example through my body, right? So my body just used to be and now it's more integrated where there's waves. And I learned this through some breath practice and different ways of opening up my whole system here, whether you call it the chakra system or whatever. And so you can try it at home right now if people want to follow me. Just always breathe deeply out anything that you want to release and send it down into the earth, and then pull up energy from the earth. The energy I'm visualizing, it's coming up through my feet and through my ankles and through my legs and into my pussy. And then it's coming all the way up. And I'm breathing up and taking a nice deep breath in. And when I get to about here, I can almost feel I can't breathe in anymore. So I'm going to take an extra sip of breath like this, and I'm going to swallow it. And I'm going to put my tongue on the roof of my mouth, and I'm going to feel for energy in the back of my brain. And I can go into orgasm just doing that. And I'm also around it just playing on my body like this. My body starts. We like this. We love this, right? And that's just because of practice and opening and relaxation and being willing to not be oh, I'm a fucking weirdo. What's wrong with me? That's always right. What's wrong with me? What about what's right with you? And what if all of this is just different ways of being aroused and how our systems work and how it feels, in our bodies?
I think that's so important.
Everybody's different. But I recommend that if you're my clients that supposedly have super low energetic, by the time they leave my programs, they're we like playing in the energetic. That's fun. We like these multiple orgasms without ejaculation and having these really expanded states of consciousness, right? If you think energetic is meditation in a way, right? Sex becomes meditation. It's a totally different way to awaken, heal, and expand. And we can do this in every blueprint, but it's really about consciousness and a different kind of flow and play that's slow and just expansive with the energetic.
I love this. And I wanted to highlight what you were saying about feeling like there's something wrong with you. I think people who really struggle with their sex lives often are because they are not what you would think are traditional, like the sexual blueprint. They fall into any of those others. I mean, maybe not the shapeshifter, because the shapeshifter can get down with that, but like particularly for like sensuals and energetics, and I mean, and even kink, because there's a lot of kink shaming too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, not understanding that our bodies are hardwired differently. People can think like, oh, well, and like you said, especially with energetics, I can take or leave it because it's never really satisfying for me.
Yes. So many energetics are so starved that they've shut the door. They've given up on sex. They don't know how to touch their own body because it feels too like, I don't know. I don't want to stick a finger in my pussy. It doesn't feel right. Okay, we'll start with a high energy yoni egg or a wand that brings you energy at the same time, right? Or learn how to energetically play with yourself. All of these things that can be taught. Jaya did say at one point in the past, I'm not sure if this is still a thing, but I have personally noticed it as well from my own experience as well as with clients. High energetics have more trauma in their history, whether they know of it or not. And it just kind of makes sense that you would be wired more energetically and out of these other blueprints if the trauma happened in the other blueprints.
Yeah.
In some way, right?
Absolutely.
So for myself, I was always high energetically wired, but I definitely went into major contractions and had things around that, right? I disassociated. So I can leave my body like that. You know, something happens. Like I had to take my cat to the vet for an emergency the other day. And when that emergency happened, I had to pull together my entire being to get in the body and drive the car to the vet because I just wanted to fly out of my body. I was so upset that my baby was in pain and that I was scared. And I tend to just go, poof, out. I'm not going to stay. No, I don't want to do this. No, thank you. Right?
Yeah.
So I would say one of the biggest gifts for energetics is to learn how to ground. Ground yourself to the earth all the time. One of the best things I've ever done was learn about earthing, earthing.com. I'm not an affiliate for their products. I highly recommend all their products. I'm sitting on an earthing mat right now. Every time I am anywhere in my house, working on a body, doing whatever I'm doing, I am earthing. I sleep earthing, and then I get outside as much as I can to earth. But the earthing is so important because energetics are frequencies. They're high frequencies, and you need the earth to ground and heal you regularly. With especially all the 5G and all the crazy. Just recently, I have a client who came to me who's high energetic, and he's like, I'm having all these terrible headaches. And it was his phone. It's his phone. It's causing that. It's too much for his energetic system. So like I have shungite on my phone. The whole house is covered in a scalar energy thing that you experience if you come here for sessions. Energetics need to take care of themselves in a different kind of way because they're so, again, highly energetic, right?
Yeah.
So I don't do crowds anymore. I don't even teach big classes. I just like to work individually with people really closely and one-on-one because that feeds my energetic because I can go deep and we're connected, right? Rather than me spreading out amongst a group of people. Yeah. It feels more shallow to me.
I have a hard time with that too.
Right? Yeah. You clear certification programs and everything small or like really deep, right? One-on-one with people. So yeah. And clearly you have high energetic or you would not be doing acutonic, yoni steaming.
Yes. Everything that I do is high frequency, high vibration.
Yeah. It's like energetic.
Yeah. Well, I go by my husband. Oh my God, God love him. When we were looking for houses, we found like the perfect house and we were driving there and I was like, oh my God, my head feels so tight. Why does my head feel so tight? And then we drove by the electrical substation. And I'm like, there's no way I can live here. And he's just like, are you kidding me right now? And I was like, no, I can't. I would literally be like the Vembot on Austin Powers, where I short circuit and my head like twitches around and I start to smoke. Like, there's no way I could do it. I just can't. And I keep telling him, like, when we retire, I would really love to be like close enough that I don't have to drive really far to get to things, because I grew up in the Willy Wax. But like growing up in the Willy Wax, whenever I go home to visit my parents, it's like dead ass quiet out there. And I sleep like the dead, because I'm like, this is the most glorious thing ever. And like, I am not in a crazy densely populated area now, but I live on a busier main road, and the traffic going by, like, I can feel it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, where my office used to be in Dover was a busy main road, and it was good for visibility, bad for Adrian's energy. I had to like put my office in the furthest back room from the road, because it just was like too much all the time. And I've always been attracted to offices and rooms with high ceilings, because it doesn't feel like I'm pressed in a box.
Yeah. I love ceilings. Exactly. Yeah, there can be something so visceral about that. And, just another thing I like to share quickly, some people would think, well, why would you have different bedrooms? Like, isn't it healthy to like always sleep with your partner, right? Okay, first of all, as a high energetic, I like to have a sleeping bedroom. And then I like to have a room that's another bedroom that's dedicated to sex. Then we might have sex in the sleeping bedroom sometimes, but majority of the time, sex is in the sex room, right? And the other bedroom is for sleeping, because they're two very different energies.
They are very different energies.
And an energetic is like, you get that more clearly about that need, even the change in the room, right? And the different energies and being able to sleep in the stillness. If I have this high-powered sex experience with my partner and I like ejaculate and my energy's through the roof, he's like, he goes straight to sleep. He's snoring, right? I'm high as a kite. I don't sleep the rest of the night. I need to like leave that room and be like, right? And I've also found during especially menstruation time, I don't want to sleep with my partner. I want to sleep in a separate bedroom. I need an extra amount of space, and where my psychic field is even bigger of clarity and not someone next to me. So that might just kind of other ways that people can kind of check in. Is that something that you would help and benefit you if you're a high energetic? What if you don't need to live by the norm that people are trying to tell you to, right? You're supposed to like doing this and that and the other thing. What if you can just like whatever you want, whatever the blueprint is, and know if you're energetic that you are very misunderstood. If you're having energetic orgasms and your body shakes and you get, it's like you're a weirdo. And you know what? Welcome to the club. I'm a proud weirdo and freak, and I wave that flag, wave it high now. And it's been of tremendous benefit to have that freedom instead of trying to pretend I'm normal and to normal. What the fuck is that anyways, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, fitting into certain boxes. And so the energetic is always going to expand out beyond the boxes. And, they just don't like boxes. That's too confining. We like infinite space. Give me infinite space.
Absolutely. I agree with that completely. So if people wanted to learn a little bit more about this blueprint, you had mentioned the quiz on your website, but how can they get in touch with you?
My website as well. I'm not a big fan of social media, so I'm not on many platforms. So I would go straight to my website, sacredtemplearts.com. There'll be a link in the show notes. And same with a link for the quiz. I would also check out on my, if you're high energetic, you may want to look at, I have a specific page on Tantra, and I have a specific page on all the healing arts that I offer. And all of those healing arts are high energetic stream, basically. It's like, feed me all that. I want to play in all of those. And my programs do have all of them interwoven in different ways as needed. So I would say that. And then you can also sign up for a complimentary call through the website as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking us on this deeper dive. I knew we were going to need to talk more at length about each of these because it is like human existence, particularly in the realm of sexuality, is dynamic and complicated, and it is definitely not a one size fits all. And so I'm so grateful for you to take the time today and share all of this beautiful information about the energetic erotic blueprint. And make sure everybody to subscribe, follow, stay tuned for upcoming episodes because we're going to continue to do these deeper dives into the erotic blueprints.
Thank you.
Until next time, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Reproductive Rebel. Reproductive Rebel is recorded by certified peri-steam hydrotherapist and acutonics practitioner, herbalist, and Chinese nutritional therapist, Adrienne Irizarry of Moon Essence LLC. If you are interested in setting up an appointment for one-on-one support, ordering from our store, or checking out our course offerings, visit our website at moonessence.life. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and get insider information on upcoming events and offerings. Join the conversation. Like and follow us at MoonEssenceMe on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Your voices make this program possible. Thank you all for your continued support.